In previous lectures, we have gone through the concept of thermodynamic potentials, among which we have studied four thermodynamic potentials that was denoted by the symbols U, H, G and F. You are aware of the meaning of these symbols. These are in fact internal energy, enthalpy, Gibbs potential and Helmholtz free energy. In fact, in these four thermodynamic potentials, the Gibbs potential G and the Helmholtz free energy F are in fact of more practical importance. And now, after knowing the ideas of these potentials, we are able to discuss a very famous equation which is known as Gibbs-Helmholtz equation, or in short you may say it GH equation, which is of far importance. Why this equation is so important? In this lecture, I would like to explain this at first. And after knowing the answer of this question, why GH equation is needed, and or what is its need, why it was divided. After knowing the answer of this question, I will derive the equation, discuss the equation, and after that, what are its importance in a study of thermodynamical processes, I will discuss. In fact, Gibbs-Helmholtz equation is a thermodynamical equation in terms of either Gibbs potential G or in terms of Helmholtz free energy F. Now I am going to focus on the fact that what is the reason, what is the cause due to which people experienced the necessity of this very equation, which is called GH equation. As we have studied before the study of thermodynamic potentials, a very important topic of thermodynamics, that was the topic of entropy. And during the study of entropy, we have learned about a famous inequality which is known as Clausius inequality. You know, in fact, there are two Clausius inequality, but here I am mentioning only one. And what is that Clausius inequality? I will just mention it. You have already studied it in previous classes. In fact, according to this Clausius inequality, when a system passes from one equilibrium state, you say equilibrium state, to another equilibrium state. Let us suppose this is first equilibrium state of the system, and our system passes from this equilibrium state to a second equilibrium state, that is state 2. This is just a symbolic representation. And in this first state, let us suppose S1 is the entropy of our system, and in state 2 its entropy is S2, let us say. In fact, Clausius inequality indicates what will be the entropy change during this transition of phase or this transition of state of our system. But actually, according to this inequality, what will be the entropy change? That depends on the process the system is following. You know, the process may be either a reversible process or an irreversible process. The inequality is expressed by a single equation for both the processes, and we write it: change in entropy of the system when its state is changed from 1 to 2. What is entropy change? Clausius inequality says this change will be S2 minus S1. Remember, S2 is the entropy in second state of the system, and S1 is its entropy in first state. So what will be the change in entropy? That will be simply S2 minus S1. Let us denote this change S2 minus S1 by the symbol delta S. In accordance with Clausius inequality, this delta S is greater or equal to integral dq over t from state 1 to 2. Here 1 refers first state, entropy in first state, and 2 entropy in second state. You may put here S1 or S2 instead of 1 and 2. Let us see this equation seriously. Here an equality exists. In fact, in this equation, the sign of equality appears when the process is reversible, and the sign of inequality appears when the process is irreversible. For your convenience, I just write it in this equation in two equations. Number 1, if we write delta S equal to integral 1 to 2 dq over t, then this, as equality holds, this refers the process is reversible. So this equality will be only when the process is reversible process. And if the process is not reversible, that is, it is an irreversible process. If the process is irreversible, then equality will come into our equation. That is, delta S is greater than integral 1 to 2 dqt. This equation will hold when the process is irreversible. You see here, one thing is very important. if we want to calculate entropy or entropy change from this equation, we can calculate both entropy and entropy change. If entropy in one of the states is known, then we can find the entropy in another state. And if we do not know either S1 or S2, in that condition, this equation will furnish a tool to calculate the change in entropy. So you may say we can find entropy or change in entropy from this inequality. But see one thing very remarkable. In case of a reversible process means a process in which our system passes from one equilibrium state to another equilibrium state. A reversible process, if the process is reversible, the first state and the second state both are equilibrium state, or you may say virtual equilibrium state. In this condition, equality holds. It means we can exactly calculate the change in entropy if the process is reversible. It means entropy change can be calculated exactly when our system passes from one virtual equilibrium state to another virtual equilibrium state. In that condition, we can find change in entropy exactly. But as equation 2 says, if the process is irreversible, you can't find out the exact value of entropy change delta S, because here inequality stands. This equation refers in this condition when a system follows irreversible process or the system passes from one non-equilibrium state to another non-equilibrium state. In that condition, we can only find the lower limit of the entropy change. As entropy change will be greater than this, it means its lowest value, which is in fact the change in entropy of the system in reversible process, can be determined. But what is the exact change in entropy, we can't say. For example, let us say entropy change is 30 joule per Kelvin. It is its lowest value. In accordance with this equation second, the entropy change may be 30 joule per Kelvin or more than 30 joule per Kelvin. But what more than that will not have a unique value. So it is clear from this inequality, in nutshell you may say, we can calculate entropy change in a reversible process exactly, but we can't calculate entropy change or entropy exactly if the process is irreversible. So this is a difficulty. You know, most of the processes of the universe are in fact irreversible. In fact, ideal reversible processes are completely theoretical. Such a process only takes place under a strict condition. The general natural phenomena, natural processes are irreversible in nature. So it means we can't calculate change in entropy or entropy in most of the natural phenomena exactly. In fact, thermodynamics is not sufficient to calculate the entropy change. In other words, we can say that thermodynamics has a limitation in calculating the entropy change exactly. It provides mathematical tool for exact calculation only for reversible process, but in case of irreversible processes, thermodynamics does not provide an exact calculation. So, the complete knowledge of entropy is not provided by our thermodynamics. Here I would like to mention one of the facts which we will study when we will study the statistical thermodynamics or statistical mechanics. That when we will study statistical mechanics, you will find there the exact calculation of entropy is possible when we use the idea of statistical mechanics or statistical thermodynamics. This is other topic, but I would just like to mention one of the equations by the use of which entropy or entropy change is calculated in statistical mechanics. In fact, in statistical mechanics, entropy of a system is given as S equal to, S for entropy, this is K ln omega. S equal to K ln omega. Here the symbol K stands for Boltzmann constant, a very important and very famous universal constant invariably used in thermodynamics. K is Boltzmann constant. Boltzmann constant. And this omega refers, in fact, thermodynamical probability. This is thermodynamical probability. Thermodynamical probability. In fact, this equation holds when the process is either reversible or irreversible. It means it does not matter what is the process. The system is passing from passing from one equilibrium state to another, or it is following the inequilibrium processes during its state change. This equation does not depend on that fact. So in statistical mechanics, we can calculate entropy either the process is reversible or irreversible. But this equation is not relevant here. I have just mentioned it for your knowledge that entropy calculation, the calculation of entropy exactly is possible, but not by the ideas of thermodynamics, but by using the ideas of statistical thermodynamics or statistical mechanics. So one thing you must have cleared, that as most of the processes are irreversible, and when we are dealing with a thermodynamic process and during that, in our mathematical equations, if entropy comes and you know its calculation is tedious, we can't calculate exactly it in irreversible processes, and most of the processes are irreversible. So To handle such equation will be a very hard task. And if we mathematically handle that equation, even after that, we will not get an exact result, because exact calculation of entropy by the concept of thermodynamics is not possible in most of the processes. So, people experienced a need to get an equation which does not contain the term like entropy, whose calculation is tedious one. And that equation which does not contain entropy but deal the thermodynamical processes is known as GH equation. It means you may say GH equation is found in such a manner in terms of the thermodynamic potential either G or F, in which S is not contained. So you will see in next lecture when I will derive it, our aim will be always to eliminate how to eliminate S, that is entropy. After eliminating S, we will get a GH equation. So in short, we can say that GH equation aims to remove this difficulty of entropy S from our equations, and after removal of this S, the equation, to handle the equation, will become very simple, very easy, and we will get the exact figure, exact value of the quantities which we have to know. So now I think you have clearly convinced why we need GH equation. In next lecture, we will actually find GH equation in terms of thermodynamic potentials G or F. You should remember, or you should look in my second lecture, in that GH equation has in fact two forms. First form is called differential form and the second form is called integral form. Although the differential form is more important, we generally use this differential form, but we can express this very equation in both forms, that is differential form and integral forms. I will first of all derive those equations, and after the derivation of GH equation in both forms, that is differential and integral, I will discuss its physical significances, its importance in thermodynamics, or to deal the thermodynamical processes. That's all for today, and I will interact with in my second lecture regarding the derivation and application of GH equation tomorrow.